All right, let's go to question number 6. Don Miguelio says, hello, fellow Mike. Hello, Miguel, Mike. In what way did Noah bring relief from the curse of the ground? Genesis 5:28 through 29. Am I mistaken in thinking the curse still seems active today? Genesis 3:17 through 19 and 8:21. Let me quickly just find out what that... Okay, so the Genesis 3 passage is about the curse on the ground. That, in labor you shall work the ground, and it'll bring thorns and thistles. It'll be difficult. That's the curse on the ground. A related curse to the ground actually is death itself, because we go from dust to dust. So that's actually kind of related to the ground, but it's more on us. Genesis 8:21. Okay. I'll come back to that in a second. I see how that was playing in. Let's go to Genesis 5 though and see this prediction about Noah and how he would relieve them about the ground. So when Lamech had lived 182 years, he fathered a son and called his name Noah, which means comfort, by the way. Noah saying, out of the ground the Lord has cursed, this one shall bring us relief from our work and from the painful toil of our hands. So what was the prediction here about Noah? It was the idea that somehow Noah was going to bring relief from our work and from the painful toil of our hands. That's an interesting idea. And Noah means comfort, or it could mean rest, or it's similar to the word there for relief. So is that saying that the curse is going to end? The curse on the ground will be ended? I don't think so. I think that there's going to be some measure of relief. So Lamech might have been talking about, to be honest, he could have been talking about a few things. He could have been talking about Noah being the son who was going to be there to help work, and then Lamech wasn't going to have to do all the work himself. And so, back in your farming culture, and you have sons, and you're like, oh, good, he's going to bring me some relief as he gets older from this toil that the Lord has given us as part of this curse. That could be simply what he's saying there. But there's another side of this that I think has to do with Christ, has to do with Jesus himself. And Noah is part of an overall genealogy that's leading us to Jesus. Noah is a bottleneck of the genealogy that leads us to Jesus. And so specifically through Noah, God's doing a work. We have these bottlenecks in scripture, like Adam. And I don't just mean genealogy bottlenecks, but bottlenecks of promises. So like Adam and Eve have promises that carry through. And then we have Noah, who is a carrier of these sort of promises of God. And then we have Abraham, who's a carrier of the promise, then Isaac, and then Jacob. And they're these carriers of the promise. And then you have it through Judah, there's going to be, the Messiah is going to come. And through the house of David, the Messiah is going to show up. And it'll be in Bethlehem. And we're starting to narrow down who exactly the Messiah is. Then there's this other thing in Genesis 5, which is about the names and the genealogies, which I think has merit. And I'm open to it being somehow something wrong with it, because studying the meaning of names is difficult. But when you lay out the names, it does seem to be a message there. And I know this sounds wild, but when you lay out the meaning of the names, it seems to be telling a story of the rest that will be provided through Jesus. And Noah's connected to that. So that gets a little bit complicated for the Q&A, but let's go to Genesis 8:21, which you thought, hey, this seems related. So Genesis 8:21, here's that verse. This is after the flood. Noah brings an offering, and then it says, and when the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground. I will never again curse the ground because of man. For the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. God doesn't say the ground is not cursed anymore because of Adam, but he says he will never again curse the ground. But that cursing of the ground could be, and this might relate to Noah's name as well, it could be the curse of the flood itself, not so much Adam's issues and the curse from the Genesis 3, but the flood itself would have been understood to be like, this is like a curse from God, right? He's bringing this horrible tragedy into the world. So after the flood recedes, God's like, I'm never going to do this again. I'll never flood the world again. Now, it may be that Noah's name relates to this in that sense too, because if it wasn't for Noah, Lamech's family would have been gone. There was a curse on its way, not just Adam's, but there was another thing coming, which was the flood. And Noah is the one that brought some comfort, knowing that there was a carrying on of the lineage and a carrying on of humankind, and that brought some comfort too. So I would see these different elements as all kind of present and some food for thought for you to consider. Thank you for your question.